Hi, it's Michelle Morand here. Today I want to talk with you about anxiety and where it comes from, why you might be feeling it, and what to do about it. We're going to also be talking about it tomorrow because it's a big topic, and there's two main reasons that you'll be feeling anxious. One is about stuff that's actually happening right now, legitimate present day life concerns. And the other is about stuff that you're ruminating on from your past or worrying about on the past, or things that you're imagining happening in the future. And the way that you're imagining them or what you're thinking about is causing you stress. So, past, present, future, those are kind of the three main places your anxiety is going to be coming from. Today, we're going to focus on present day stuff, and I'm going to give you a tool for figuring out what actually is the present day stress in your life, and how to have more empathy, compassion, validation for yourself, and ultimately get about solving whatever it is that's causing you that stress. Tomorrow, we'll talk about the past and the future stuff. So, when it comes to what's really happening, the best way to think about that is the main reason that any human being on the planet, including yourself, will feel anxious, legitimately anxious, or let me say that differently. There are three main reasons why any human being is going to feel anxious. Good reasons. One is whatever it is they're doing is new to them. They're doing something they've never ever done before, or they're doing it in a new or different way, or with different people, different setting. Some significant variables are new to them. The other thing is that it's important to them or someone they care about. So whatever it is they're doing, there's some consequence or some significant value attached to it going well or going a certain way. And the third reason is it's not entirely in their control. So it might be something that you're reliant on someone else to agree with or to assist you with, or to approve of, whatever it might be. You could think of, say, a student in university. They're going to have all three of these things up. Every class they take is new, and it is somewhat important depending on how they feel about their career or where they're at in their studies, how serious they are about what they want to do, and maybe even where their GPA is. That will have an influence on how important this particular lesson or this class or this test is to them. And not entirely in their control. Certainly study habits are sort of kind of in their control, barring any learning disabilities that we didn't ask for. But in terms of what's on the test or how the material gets presented or all of that stuff, and how the professor votes or marks certain things, is really not in our control. So that's an example of why somebody who perhaps is in a student role might feel a lot of anxiety legitimately. Things are new, important, and not in their control to quite a significant extent. For you in your day-to-day life now, if you're feeling anxious about something, I want you to stop and ask yourself, is it something that's happening right now? Or is it something from my past that I'm just remembering and feeling icky about or wishing had happened a different way? Or something I'm imagining happening in the future and worried about? Again, we'll talk about these things tomorrow. Today, I just want you to ask, is it past, present, future stress? For the stuff that's about now or the immediate future, I want you to ask yourself, which of these three, or what combination of these three reasons that anybody's going to feel anxious, are up for me with this thing? How new is this thing, and in what way? How important is it to me or someone I care about, and in what way? And what kind of control do I or don't I have over how this goes? What influence do I have to create the outcome that I want? What I recommend you do, because the instinctive brain right now, if you're using food to cope more than you'd like, because everybody does munch when they're not hungry sometimes, but if you're here, it's something that's really bothering you. So that means your instinctive brain is quite powerful. It gets a hold of something, it turns it into an absolute thing that's going to happen for sure, or that you really need to be worrying about, or that really absolutely happened this certain way. And that creates all that cortisol, all that stress, and that's what makes you eat, to either help to change your chemistry or just distance and numb yourself from that stress. So we really need to be attending to this part of our brain as we're building out this mechanism for you to assess what makes sense and what's really happening and how you'd like to proceed. So the best way to work with this part of your brain is to be concrete with it, to give it numbers, to give it a structure, a framework to work within. It does not like nebulousness, really struggles with that. So for now, we want to give it a container. So I'm going to recommend that when you're checking in about why you might be stressed now, and you're identifying something, that when you identify whether it's new, important, and not entirely in your control, and usually each of those three is up, I want you to rate each one of those on a scale of 10, 10 being massively new in every way, or supremely life-threateningly important, or not at all in my control no matter what, and 0 being really not a big deal at all. What you'll do when you allow yourself to rate each of those new, important, not entirely in my control on a scale of 0 to 10 is you'll see a number out of 30 that will help you to understand this energy that I'm feeling, this stress that I'm feeling about this thing. I'm feeling it because it's a 25, or I'm feeling it because it's a 20. It's not a 5 or a 6, you know? It's very easy for our instinctive brain to both simultaneously tell us, why are you worrying? You shouldn't be worrying. And people do this all the time, blah, 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 blah. And then tell us what we need to be worrying about and how bad it's going to go, and how wrong we are and how horrific it's going to be or how doomed we are. It's very common for this instinctive part of our brain to play both sides, which is why when we're listening to it, we just feel stuck and we end up in that procrastinating paralysis place we were talking about last time. So for today, I just really want you to observe, if I'm feeling anxious at all, when you check in and ask yourself peaceful or not peaceful, I want you to just ask yourself, okay, what is the thing? What am I thinking about? And how new is it to me and in what way? How important is it to me or someone I care about, and in what way? And how much control do I have? Rate that out of 10 for each one. You'll come up with your score out of 30. And that's going to help you, if you do that exercise even just a handful of times over the next couple of days, or as frequently as you can. It might be every 5 minutes right now, and that's okay. If you do that exercise at least a handful of times, you'll start to see some consistency. You'll start to understand, oh, yeah, this energy is much greater. That's because this is new, important, and not in my control in a big way. Whereas the new grocery store that I had to go to get some popcorn, yeah, that was understandably more of a 6 out of 30 as opposed to a 29 out of 30. Okay, so I want you to just to play around with that. And again, understand that we need to gather a number of data points before we can make an assessment about what's true for us. You've been spending your life with this guy who has one sort of convoluted piece of data that he absolutely says can only mean this thing, and then sends you off running. And that's why the food thing is such a challenge for you. We're here to unravel that. We're here to put you in the driver's seat and give you control over how you feel, largely, and how you respond to how you feel, so that you can take action that you're really proud of and that really enhances your life. A big part of that is being able to understand why you're feeling the way that you are, and especially anxiety. Because so often, as soon as we start to feel anxious at all, this part of our brain just assumes it's going to hell in a handbasket. The cortisol gets dumped in massive amounts, and this part of our brain just shuts down. We're not even present to actually look for solutions. So I'm here to help you to start to actually create more balance between these two pieces of your brain, and to start to be able to see how incredibly competent you are at figuring out what you're feeling, what that means about what you're needing, and most importantly, getting those needs met. It's not rocket science, but if we haven't been shown how to do this, it does feel like impossible and out of our reach. So for today, just try this little exercise that I've shown you today. Ask yourself when you're feeling anxious, is it new? Is it important? Is it in my control, not in my control? Where would I put that on that scale of 0 to 10? And that's going to help you to better understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling. And when you know that there's a legitimate reason for why you're feeling the way you're feeling, there's this really awesome thing that happens, which is automatically your cortisol drops. Even if the thing is scary and overwhelming, you'll feel less overwhelmed. And that's how you start to actually viscerally learn how much of your stress is about the thing that's actually happening happening versus about all the worries and stories and stuff that you're adding to the thing that's happening. And as soon as you can start to tell the difference between those two things, you are in the driver's seat. So practice what I'm preaching here today, and look forward to tomorrow when we talk about past stuff and future stuff, and then you'll have a nice comprehensive protocol for how to figure out where your anxiety is coming from and how to respond to it in a way that really makes you feel great about yourself. Have a good day.